Good afternoon, everyone. I am Karil Pahunar Palsinka, and for today's video, I am with Miss Wendelin Recommendation. We are going to justify the 50 questionnaires for GE2 Reading in Philippine History and Society. Are you ready to listen our justification? Okay, let's start with number 1. So number 1, it is dependent on the availability of primary sources, documentary sources, secondary event, or testimonies of the authorities. So the answer is letter B, historical research. So when we talk about historical research, it is a process of collecting and interpreting data about past events or ideas in order to find how they affected the present ideas. An example of historical research is the study of primary and secondary sources, such as historical documents and archives diplomatic in researching an event from the past. So the answer for number 1 is letter B, historical research. Let's proceed to number 2, which refers to the theory and history of historical writing. So the answer is historiography. When we talk about historiography, is both the writing of the history and the study of how history is written. Let's proceed to number 3. This is derived from the Greek word historia, which means learning by inquiry. When we talk about Greek word historia, it is letter A, history. So the short version is that the term history has evolved from an ancient Greek verb that means to know, says that Oxford English Dictionary's Philip Darkin. The Greek word historian originally meant inquiry, the act of seeking knowledge as well as the knowledge that results from inquiry. So letter A, history. Number 4. These are the original first-hand account of an event or period that are usually written or made during or close to the event or period. So the answer is letter A, primary sources. A primary source is a first-hand, so from the word first-hand, or contemporary account of an event or topic. They are the most direct evidence of a time or event because they were created by people or things that were there at that time or event. So the answer is letter A, primary sources. And number 5, these are materials made by people long after the events being described had taken place. So the answer is letter D, secondary sources. A secondary source of information is one that was created later by someone who did not experience firsthand or participate in the events or condition you are researching. Secondary sources can be found in books, journals, or internet resources. So the answer of number 5 is letter D, secondary sources. And now let's proceed to number 6. This goes beyond facts and is concerned with the reasons for why and how event happen. So the answer is letter B, speculative history. When we talk about speculative or alternate history, is a field of historical inquiry that uses counterfactual speculation of historical events to reflect upon our present society and the social construct of memory. It goes beyond facts because it is concerned about the reason for which events happened, why, and the way they happened or how. So the answer of number 6 is letter B, speculative history. Number 7. This pertains to factual information that provide the readers with accurate information about the time, place, and people involved in the past event. So the answer is letter A, factual history. When you talk about factual history or historical fact, is a fact about the past. It answers the very basic question, what happened? Yet beyond merely listing the events in chronological order, historians try to discover why events happened, what circumstances contributed to their cause, what subsequent effects they had, and how they were interpreted. So number 7 is letter A, factual history. Number 8. A person who studies and writes about the past events as relating to the human race. See, the answer is historian. So a historian is a person who studies and writes about the past and is regarded as an authority on it. They are concerned with the continuous methodical narrative and research of past events as relating to the human race as well as the study of all history in time. So, a person who studies and write about the past is letter B, historians. Number 9, this evidence which is confined through a word of mouth. So, word of mouth. So, from the word of mouth, it is letter B, oral evidence. So, the evidence which is confined to the word spoken by the mouth is the oral evidence. If oral evidence is worthy of credit, it is sufficient to prove a fact or a title without any documentary evidence. So, the answer is letter B, oral evidence. And now, let's proceed to number 10. It refers to the collection of data about past events and circumstances pertaining to a particular subject. The answer is letter A, historical data. Historical data in a broad context is data collected about past events and circumstances pertaining to a particular subject. By definition, historical data includes most data generated either manually or automatically within an enterprise. Number 11, an essay written by the national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal, which was published in La Solidaridad. So the answer is letter B, The Philippines, A Century Hence. So let's start with Love of a Country is a poem by Andres Bonifacio. And the Review of Madrid is a Rizal Madrid walking tour available as a booklet and includes a map and itinerary. So, concerning the indolence of the Filipinos, it was written by Jose Rizal as a response to the accusation of Indio or Malay indolence. And The Philippines, A Century Hence is an essay written by the Philippine national hero Jose Rizal to forecast the future of the country within 100 years. So, Rizal felt that it was time to remind Spain that the circumstances that ushered in the French Revolution could have telling effect for her in the Philippines. So, this essay published in La Solidaridad starts by analyzing the various causes of misery suffered by the Filipino people. So number 12, who emphasized that history should deal with the articulation of conscious exercise? So the answer is letter A, Milagros Guerrero. Milagros Guerrero emphasized that history should deal with the articulation of conscious experience. Let's proceed to number 13. Who wrote the poem Pag-ibig sa Tinubuang Lupa? So, the answer is letter D, Andres Bonifacio. In 1896, Andres Bonifacio pinned Pag-ibig sa Tinubuang Lupa as a call for Filipinos to join the struggle for genuine Philippine independence from Spanish colonial rule. So, it was Andres Bonifacio. Now, let's proceed on number 14. Which book of Plasencia is considered as the first civil code of the Philippines? So the answer is letter A, Los Castoribres de los Tagalog. So when we talk about the Historia de las Islas Filipinas by Fray Joaquin Martinez de Zuniaga. When we talk about Relación de las Islas Filipinas published in the Philippines in 16,000 by Pedro Quirino, translated by Ramon Echevarria. So, and the Doctrina Christiana or the Christian Doctrine was an early book on the Catechism of the Catholic Church, written in 1593 by Fray Juan de Plasencia and is believed to be one of the earliest printed books in the Philippines. So, the Los Catoribres de los Tagalog is the first civil code of the Philippines, book of Fray Juan de la Plasencia. Number 15. First election of the Philippines was on, the answer is letter D, March 22, 1897. So, nothing happened in June 12, 1892, but in 1898, June 12, Philippine independence declared? So, on this day, July 3, 1892, Dr. Jose Rizal founded the La Liga Filipina. On August 23, 1896, the cry of Pugadlawin took place in Caloocan in present-day Bahay Turo in Quezon City. So, on March 22, 1897, the Katipunan government established the first Department of Interior at the Tijeras Convention. So, the answer is letter D. March 22, 1897 was the first election of the Philippines. Number 16. He is the second president of Katipunan. So, the answer is Roman Basa. When we talk about Jose Burgos, was a Filipino Catholic priest and a leader of the secularization movement, referring to the full incorporation of Filipino press into the Catholic hierarchy of the Philippines. So on May 10, 1897, the execution team led by Lazaro Macapagal brought the Bonifacius brother to the Vashi mountain of Maragondon. So on August 19, 1896, the existence of the Katipunan was discovered by Father Mariano Hill, the Spanish Augustinian parish priest in Tondo. So Roman Basa was a Filipino patriot who was the second supreme or leader of Katipunan, the secret society which sparked the Philippine Revolution against Spanish rule in 1896. So the answer is Roman Basa. So number 17. Which of the following are true about Fernando Amorsolo's theme in Antipolo Fiesta painting? So the answer is celebration and harvest. Fernando Amorsolo's theme in Antipolo Fiesta painting is the oil painting on canvas depicts a rural scene when a group of people are shown celebrating a fiesta in Antipolo. So the main focus is on a fair of dancers in the field surrounded by revelers both young and old. So abundant food is presented in basket of assorted fruits on the benches and on the ground, as well as the traditional roasted pig or lechon being prepared by the two men. So, the Antipolo Fiesta painting is about celebration and harvest. So, let's proceed in number 18. They are followers of Islam, a monotheistic religion of the Abrahamic faith. They consider the Quran to be the foundation of religious text of Islam. So the answer is Muslim. So the followers of Islam are called Muslim, which means those who have surrendered themselves or believers of the divine message. Historically, one became a Muslim by following the teachings of Muhammad. So let's proceed on number 19. When did the first Holy Catholic Mass in the Philippines happen? So, it was letter D, March 31, 1521. So, the first documented Catholic Mass in the Philippines was held on March 31, 1521, Easter Sunday. It was conducted by Father Pedro D. Valderrama of Ferdinand Magellan's expedition along the shores of what was referred in the journals of Antonio Pigafetta in Mazawa. Number 20. He was the leader of subsequent valiant attacks in Albay towns and was the last general to surrender to the American. So, letter A, it was Simeon Ola. So, Simeon Ola was the last general to surrender to the Americans. So, Baldomero Aguinaldo. So, Baldomero Aguinaldo is the president of Magdalo faction. He was the first cousin of Emilio Aguinaldo, the first president of the Philippines. Gregorio Aglipay is a co-founder of the Philippine Independent Church. And Macario Sakay is the first president of the Tagalog Republic, executed because of the Brigandage Act. And Simeon Ola was the answer. He was the last general to surrender to the Americans. Now, let's proceed to number 21. Which of the following best defines external criticism? So, the answer is letter A. It is a criticism that deals with the analysis on the form of the documents. So when we talk about external criticism, it is a criticism that deals with the analysis on the form of the documents. External criticism is the practice of verifying the authenticity of evidence by examining its physical characteristic, consistency with the historical characteristics of the time when it was produced, and the material used for the evidence. So when we talk about external, the keyword is form. So 22. What is internal criticism? So the answer is letter B. It deals with the analysis of the content of the documents. So internal criticism looks at content. So the keyword is content. Looks at content of the course and examine the circumstances of its production. It also looks at the truthfulness and factuality of the evidence by looking by the author source, its context, the agenda behind its creation, the knowledge which inform it, and its intended purpose. So let's proceed to number 23. Why did the triumvirate establish the propaganda movement? So the answer is to create reforms in the Philippines. So it was organized and participated by the Ilustrados, Dr. Jose Rizal, Marcelo H. Del Pilar, and Graciano Lopez Haina are the leaders of the said movement. So propaganda movement is a reform and national consciousness movement that arose among young Filipino expatriates in the late 19th century. So let's proceed on number 24. How did Rizal want to be buried? So the answer is letter A, with a stone or a cross to mark the grave. So according to his book, Rizal said, "Dear parents, brothers, sisters, give thanks to God who has kept me a tranquil before my death. Bury me in the earth, put a stone on top and a cross. My name, the date of my birth, and the day of my date. Nothing more. If later you wish to surround my grave with a fence, you can do it. No anniversary celebration. I prefer Paang Bundok." So Paang Bundok was the cemetery north of Manila, now known as the North Cemetery. So let's proceed on number 25. Which best describe for excommunicado? So the answer is C, expelled from the communication with a church. So excommunicado, this was happened to Jose Rizal before. It means to cut off from communication with a church or execute from the sacraments of a church by ecclesiastical sentence. So means to exclude or expel from the membership or participation in any group, association, or etc.
So let's proceed to question number 26. Born in Santa Cruz, Manila on August 2, 1799, he was the parish priest of Bacoor, Cavite. At the time, he was involved in the Cavite Mutiny in 1878. So, ang tamang sagot is letter B, si Padre Mariano Gomez. Si Padre Mariano Gomez isinilang noong Agosto 2, 1779 sa Santa Cruz, Manila. Siya ay isang Pilipinong pari, bahagi ng Gumborsa na maling pinaratangan ng pag-aalsa laban sa pamahalaang Kastila sa Pilipinas noong ika-19 taon. Siya ay nilitis at hinatulan ng bitay sa Manila kasama ang dalawang iba pang pare. So question number 27. Written on this famous work by Emilio Jacinto are the fundamental teaching of the Katipunan. So ang tamang sagot ay letter B, Cartilla. Ang Kartilya ng Katipunan ang popular na tawag sa akda ni Emilio Jacinto na naglatang ng mga batas at prinsipyo ng Katipunan at nagsilbing gabay para sa mga kasapi nito. Ang orihinal na pamagat ng Kartilya ng Katipunan ay mga aral ng Katipunan ng mga anak ng bayan at hinahangaan noon at ngayon dahil sa matilinghaga ngunit insaktong formulasyon ng matuntunin sa buhay ng dapat sundin sa isang katipunero. Number 28. What is the biggest river in the world? So the correct answer is letter C, Amazon River. Amazon River in South America is the biggest or largest river in the world, while Nile River in Africa is the longest river in the world. Question 29. It is the privilege of the President to address and appear before the Congress at the opening of its regular session. What do you call the address? So the correct answer is letter C, the State of the Nation Address or SUNA. Sa kalagayan ng banas is an annual address of the President of the Philippines to join session of the Congress of the Philippines. So question number 30. The Constitution which first mandate the separation of church and power. So the correct answer is Malulu's Constitution, letter A. According to the title Article 3, Article 5 of Malulu's Constitution, the state recognized the freedom and equality of the belief as well as the separation of church and state. The most continuous issue in the Revolutionary Congress that crafted the 1899 Malulu's Constitution pertained to the separation of church and state, which won by mere of one vote. Question number 31. He made the account about the travels of Ferdinand Magellan and became the only existing document about the Battle of Mactan. Correct answer is letter B. Si Antonio Figafita ay isang Italianong scholar at aristokratang pinanganak sa Venezia sa Veneto. Kinatipan siyang sumama at tumulong para kay Kapitang Portuges na si Ferdinand Magellan ay isang kawal Portugal at mga tauhang Kastila nito patungo sa kanilang paglalayag sa kapuluang Maluko. Simula noong 1519, sa panahon ng biyahe, nagsasabi siya na tumpak ang pagkakasunod ng mga tala ng lumaong nakatulong sa pagsasalin niya sa isang wika sa Pilipinas na Cebuano. Ito ang pinakaunang pagtala hingil sa wikang ito. Number 32. The event which resulted to the start of the Philippine Revolution. The correct answer is letter C, the cry of rebellion in Pugadlawin. Marked the start of the Philippine Revolution in 1896, which eventually led to independence of the country in 1898. The cry of Pugadlawin was the beginning of the Philippine Revolution against the Spanish Empire. Question number 33. Who is General said, I shall return, a monument in his honor stand and corregidor by the bay? So the correct answer is letter B, Douglas MacArthur. When General of the Army Douglas MacArthur pledged to return to the Philippines as he evacuated the islands early in the World War II, he was reported to have said, I will return. Question number 34. In 1565, Legazpi concluded a blood compact with the chief of Bohol, who is referred to. So the correct answer is letter C, Sikatuna. The Legazpi and Sikatuna Blood Compact of Sandugo was a blood compact performed in the island of Bohol in the Philippines between the Spanish explorer Miguel Lopez de Legazpi and Dato Sikatuna, the chieftain of the Bohol, on March 16, 1565 to seal their friendship as part of the tribal tradition. Question number 35. Who is the president who is known for his first policy and austerity program? The correct answer is letter B, Filipino First refer to the policy first introduced and implemented by the administration of the Philippines, President Carlos P. Garcia. So under his policy, Filipino-owned business is prioritized over its foreign counterparts, and the patronizing of Filipino-made products by Filipino was also promoted. Number 36. The late President Ferdinand Marcos placed the Philippines under martial law through which of the following laws? So the correct answer is letter C, Proclamation number 1081. Was the document which contained the formal proclamation of martial law in the Philippines by President Ferdinand Marcos is announced to the public on September 23, 1972. Number 37. What was the first book published in the Philippines? Yes, the correct answer is letter C. The Doctrina Christiana was an early book on the Catechism of the Catholic Church written in 1593 by Fray Juan de Plasencia, and he believed to be one of the earliest printed books in the Philippines. Number 38, the father of modern Tagalog poetry. So the correct answer is Alejandro G. Abadilla. Commonly known as Aga, was a Filipino poet, essayist, and fiction writer. Critic Pedro Ricarte referred to Abadilla as the father of modern Philippine poetry and was known for challenging established forms and literature, excessive romanticism, and emphasis on rhyme and meter. Question number 39. Who created the design of the Philippine flag? So the correct answer is letter A, Emilio Aguinaldo. It was personally conceived by Emilio Aguinaldo, President of the Revolutionary Government, and Sue at 535 Morrison Hill Road in Hong Kong by Mrs. Maricela Mariano Agoncillo, wife of the first Filipino diplomat Felipe Agoncillo, with the help of her daughter Lorenza and Mrs. Delfina Herbuza Natividad. Number 40 question. Who was the first Governor General of the Philippines? So the correct answer is letter C. Miguel Lopez de Legazpi was an admiral and governor of the 16th century, the first governor of the Captaincy General of the Philippines, and the founder of the city of Cebu in 1565 and Manila. Number 41. How many years did Spain rule in the Philippines? So the correct answer is letter C. After ruling for 333 years, the Spaniards finally left in 1898 and were replaced by the Americans, who stayed for 48 years. On July 4, 1946, the American recognized Philippines independence. The Philippines is the third largest English-speaking country in the world. Question number 42. Which is true of the former President Corazon Aquino? So the correct answer is letter A. Corazon Aquino's accession to the presidency marked the end of authoritarian rule in the Philippines. Aquino is the first female president of the Philippines and is still the only president of the Philippines to have never held any prior political position. Aquino is regarded as the first female president in Asia. Number 43. Filipino citizens have the power to participate in the establishment of administration of government, such as right to vote and to be voted upon as an exercise of blank. So the correct answer is letter B. It's political rights, the right to participate in the conduct of public affairs, to vote, and to be elected and access to public service. Number 44. Which department has the authority to make laws and to alter them when needed? The correct answer is letter B. The legislative branch is authorized to make laws, alter, and repeal them through the power vested in the Philippines Congress. This institution is divided into Senate and the House of Representatives. Number 45 question. A bill becomes a law even if not signed by the president after blank days. So the correct answer is letter D, 30. A bill may become a law even without the president's signature if the president does not sign a bill within 30 days from receipt in his office. Number 46. Who is the greatest Filipino orator of propaganda? So the correct answer is letter B, si Graciano Lopez Haina. So, si Graciano Lopez Haina ay isang Pilipinong manunulat, revolusyonaryo at pambansang bayani mula sa lalawigan ng Iloilo na nakilala sa kanyang pahayag na La Solidaridad. Nakilala rin siya sa kaniyang akdang Fray Butod. Butod ang salitang Hiligaynon para sa kabag at katumbas din ito sa balbal na tabatsoy. 47 question. What form of government is characterized with the separation of power? The correct answer is letter B, presidential. Presidential system of government is in the principle of separation of powers wherein the legislation belongs to Congress, execution to the executive, and settlement of legal controversies to the judiciary. So, number question. What law was passed by the Philippine Congress in 1995 which affirms the total integration of persons with disabilities into the mainstream of society? So the correct answer is letter A, Republic Act number 7277, otherwise known as the Magna Carta for Disabled Person, was enacted for the primary reason that persons with disabilities have the same rights as other people. There promotes full participation in society and integration into the mainstream of society. Question number 4. Which is the best definition of inclusive education endorsed by the DepEd? So the correct answer is letter A. Inclusive education aims to mainstream students with special needs in a flexible learning environment for acquiring quality education that optimizes their potential for holistic development. And lastly, number 50. With whom in the strong republic associated? So the correct answer is letter C, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. The Strong Republic Transit System was launched to integrate the various rail lines providing a public transport in Manila in the Philippines. The program was initiated by President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo on June 14, 2003. So that ends our quizzes in reading Philippine history and society. Thank you.